6:30, I'm going to open up the Select Board meeting, March 23rd. Open meeting via remote access, via your YouTube link will be posted on town website the day of this meeting. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing to honor our men and women serving our country both here and abroad, past and present, and most importantly, let's have a prayer for our country. God bless our country. Thank you. So we sign the warrant, appointments. New business, COVID-19 update.
Yes,
Mr.
I
McGinnis.
just want to give the board an update. The town has been responding to this COVID-19 pandemic in an organized and unified approach. Just to give you an update, the town is following a federal framework for responses to emergencies that's tried and proven. It's called the ICS, or Incident Command System. Currently, it's being spearheaded by our Director of Health, Christopher Michaud. We've had stakeholder departments were formed into ICS teams on March 17th and 19th of last week to include all significant positions, including an incident commander, a liaison officer, public information officer, health and safety officer, section chiefs, etc. All town departments have completed continuity of operations plans, COOPs, which document how the essential town services will be maintained and how staff can be used to maintain these services remotely, or if teams of staff are needed to be implemented. And these COOP plans have been forwarded to Mr. Michaud to include in his incident command system. Public information officer was selected, and all communication from the town of Dartmouth on COVID-19 tracked through this public information officer, who's Detective Kyle Costa from the police department. He's very good. He's been very instrumental, even in this short period of time, getting information out on the town's processes and the town's actions as a regard COVID-19. The communications team also has done a great job assembling the website and updating it with videos and other information in this short time. The website will be the single point of information that will provide all of the information across all of our government departments. So we're telling all users to go to the website. Detective Costa in his video messages is also saying the same thing. So they hope to update the website. They will update the website regularly, and also they will promote regular videos on the town status. So that's what's been done previously. Our current status, as you know, the governor issued a shelter-in-place order today.
Advisory.
And it starts March 24th, tomorrow at noon, through April 7th at noon, which is advising essential employees only. Last week, in preparation for this, we thought this might be coming along, so we've worked with our department heads and our continuity of operations plan and identified department heads who are essential and staff who are essential. We've set up a system in place so department heads can work remotely, and essential staff can work remotely as well. We're prepared to go into that mode starting tomorrow at noon. The department heads will follow their completed continuity plans and evaluate those on an ongoing basis, and we will meet regularly to review those. The goal is to provide as many town services as possible beyond just the minimum town services. So we will be continuing with issuing permits and licensing. The town clerk's office will still be providing services. Tax collection will be available. A lot of these services are available online. The ones that are not, we are creating drop boxes here at Town Hall for people to drop off plans or permits or applications. So we have information on the website as well for each department that's instructing the clients or the contractors or whoever might be, the citizens, how to go about dropping off information here at Town Hall. Additionally, the Council on Aging will continue to provide outreach services. They're currently calling to check in on all the elderly to make sure that they are okay, safe, and well. but there are no programs or classes at the COA, and there's no programs or classes at the library as well. In addition, boards and committees, public meetings and hearings will be limited to those that are considered necessary for the purposes of maintaining essential government functions and are mandated under, or are mandated under federal, state, or local law or regulation. So we're keeping the board meetings to a minimum until after April 7th, unless they are required by law to have the meeting, or if there's an emergency circumstance. Those meetings will be promoted remotely. This is one of the only meetings that is kind of on-site. The planning board is meeting tonight, and they're doing it through remote conference. And DCTV has been supporting the few boards or committees that have to meet. So, and I imagine after tonight that they're gonna reevaluate their schedules, these boards and committees. Moving forward, we are in continuous communication with the ICS team and Health Director Michaud. The website and videos are updated regularly. Continuous communication with department heads and staff. We're doing that on a daily basis. We're gonna do that through this shelter-in-place advisory. We're gonna evaluate the services we're offering and see if we can maximize that, provide more services once we kind of get up and running. And we're gonna monitor the governor's office and the COVID-19 state website for updates and keep this board informed of any changes or any updates. And residents should continue to visit the town website or social media, but they can also call 508-910-1844 for any information. That's where we're at with COVID-19.
Anyone want to comment? Mr. McDonald?
Wasn't quite sure where to bring this up, whether it be towards the end or now, but since we're talking about COVID. There's a lot of information that's going out there to the public. Some of it, unfortunately, is in error, but you know, we can't really do much of anything about that. But there's also commentary from some people who have never really spoken on the issue regarding the orange bags. There's a couple people that have concerns about going out in the public, especially when they have family members at home that have any type, you know, that fall within the category that if they get the virus, it could be, you know, catastrophic. So the question is whether or not the town would be willing to, you know, I guess, relax or temporarily halt, you know, the use of the orange bags. The issues I see with that is the orange bags, when they're put out, generally lets the drivers and the you know, the solid waste workers know which houses are available to use the trash. They don't carry a clipboard with addresses and then go by an address by address way. So using regular bags, you know, I don't want to say it could happen, but more than likely it will happen. Somebody will be able to sneak trash in that's not supposed to be there, but that's not really part of, that's a main concern. The other main concern would be, since these bags are designed for certain loads, using any other kind of bags may create a heavier load, which creates a heavier burden on the person picking up in the back of the truck. The other concerns are financial concerns, is as to, you know, the longer this situation continues, what type of revenue that the program survives on is going to be lost, and how is that going to be made up? It cannot be made up through regular taxes, because this is a user fee program. So the question is, if it's X number of dollars, when it comes time to do the annual fee, you know, does the X number of dollar loss get apportioned to the number of people that are in the program? So that, you know, the fee is 90, if you lose, you know, let's just pick a number, you know, that the number of people that are in the program divided by whatever, it ends up being $10, does the bill become, you know, $100? Is that one way of doing it? I'm not sure how this can be addressed, or if it can be addressed, but I think maybe the next time you have a staff meeting or something similar, you know, to at least approach it. I know I sent an email out to David, and David said that he had reasons not to, so I didn't want to expound upon it on an email. I felt it would be better for, you know, a staff meeting to discuss it, so if you can put that on one of your agendas to discuss that, just to see.
And we could maybe look at ways to provide some assistance to getting bags to people, or providing another means where they don't have to go out in public or so much of a public spot.
Right, I mean, you know, maybe even mailing it to them. I don't know, you know, something like that.
Well, the other thing is, the bags that have a certain strength, and if they're not gonna be using these orange bags, they'll be using willy-nilly bags they have in their homes, and you're gonna have trash all over the ground, which, before the orange bags, we had a lot of that.
Yeah, no offense, but every other trash bag in the world that I know is stronger than the orange bag.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, I don't have an orange bag. We pay for
It's
our
true.
own, but,
Well, I mean, let's put it this way, most of the time, when you look at these orange bags, there's always another bag in them.
uh-huh,
Because that's what happens, they break.
Yeah.
But there is a certain amount of time, there's only a certain amount, you know, I mean, the bags are really, the large bags are, I believe, only supposed to hold about 35 pounds, maybe, something similar to that.
Something like that.
So,
People
and
that
generally,
work
the people who
stuffing
use the smaller bags are the elderly, so they're not gonna be filled. My mother-in-law uses a smaller bag, so that's,
well, maybe we can just get Dave to give us some numbers. We want those numbers, and the other thing is, how many people are affected? How do we find that out? What are those numbers? And if the numbers are palatable, maybe we can find a way to get these bags to these people.
well, that might be the most important thing, is, I guess at some point in time, is people who are concerned about going out
Right.
in the public that need the bags to contact a certain number, maybe contact the DPW, and we'll get the way to get the bags to them,
Yeah.
you know, somehow.
And maybe we're not gonna be able to do that, we might have to suspend it for a while, too.
The question that comes to my mind is, don't these people buy groceries? I mean, the orange bags are sold at every
Everywhere.
grocery store.
Everywhere.
Right, but, I mean, a lot of the home delivery, a lot of people are starting to use home delivery. And a lot of those home delivery places don't carry the bags. And one of the things that I find during the course of social media discussion, you know, is that some places don't carry a large supply of the bag. There are places that do. I mean, Walgreens has an absolute treasure trove of them. They're just, the amount of bags that they carry is mind-boggling. Whereas, you know, Stop and Shop, you know, has them at each register, but they don't have them at the checkout registers. So,
Mr. Tettelbaum.
I think that is an absolute legitimate concern that the people don't want to get out, and they have a right, we should protect them. And if you look at the downside of either suspending the program or we'd be much better off, in my view, finding a way. We have employees who are being paid now who are not working. We can have a phone call and we can deliver those. And the cost of making that delivery and getting a $5 bill for it and delivery is a lot cheaper than it would be to try to suspend the program, to change it and to make it complicated. And whether it be 100 people or 200 people, you know, I think we can find a way to deliver them to their homes and not have to put the program at risk and change it. And that would be a lot more, not only costly, but complex to cancel and start up again.
well, that's why I wanted to at least start the dialogue and then have the staff discuss it.
Sure.
You know, because I mean, we all have ideas on how we can do, but logistically,
Yeah.
you know, we need to know the numbers, we need to know the number of people who, are going to.
I mean, we could
who
try it and
this would
find out
affect.
that it's so big a number that we have to do something different.
Right.
But we may also find out it's a very workable number.
I mean, if it's 100 people, 200 people, fine. If it's,
Yeah.
5,000 people,
Yeah.
you know. But who's to say that number won't grow exponentially over the next few weeks?
Well, we have-
It might,
it's
just
another one
might
of
do
those
that.
decisions, you gotta take it,
Yeah.
one day and 1 week at a
Right,
time.
exactly.
Be flexible.
All right, so we'll get some information.
Yes, I'll pull that
Thanks,
together.
Sean.
Excuse me, while we're on the subject, I wonder if we should, one of Anthony's suggestions that we might want to consider adopting the continuity of operations plans. That fits under the COVID-19 stuff. I don't know if we want to do that.
That's part of the incident command system report that Health Director Michaud is preparing. So the continuity of operations plans that we've created here in the town hall department's general government are being sent and included in that larger report and plan.
Okay.
Just add one clarification. That phone number you mentioned, this would be for people who also can't get online, don't have a computer, is that,
Correct.
could you repeat that for me?
Yes.
I know it's 911.
508-910-1844.
And that's for any call you want to make, and also especially for people.
Regarding COVID-19, yes, any questions related to COVID-19 in town.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time, 508-910-1844.
For all intents and purposes, we can call that the COVID hotline?
You could,
Is
yes.
that your home phone, Sam?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
it's close to it. All right, police contract ratification.
Yes, this is the contract that was reviewed in executive session last month, and also presented to the Brotherhood. They have ratified it and signed off on it, and now it's over to the select board here for the same.
Well, I want to, one thing, Frank, go ahead.
I disagree with what you just said. The numbers that we talked about when we reviewed the contract are not what was set out in the Appendix A. I did the math on them over the weekend, and for the first year, step one is 11.87% increase. Step 4 is 4.19, and step 5 is 7.11. The others are pretty much what we talked about, but those clearly were not. So, I mean, given that, I would not support the contract.
Well, those numbers, well, step one, in step two, there's very few officers in those.
It doesn't matter, it wasn't mentioned before this. This was almost a blindside. The sheet of paper that you handed out to us
I think if you
did not
look-
list the numbers anywhere near that.
If you look at the totals, those were the increases.
If you do all the individuals in all 5 steps individually, it comes out to quite a bit of money. And also, the number of individuals in step 4 and 5 are quite substantial compared to 1, 2, and 3. So Frank is correct. This would really impact us. I think that we should go back to executive session and talk about these numbers. These numbers really shouldn't be talked about in open meeting. We're basically negotiating. So I'd like to make a motion that we bring this back to executive session. Talk
So-
about it, get more clarification in executive session.
I would second that motion.
Yeah, I can certainly provide more clarification on how the numbers were developed and to get what you see here and how we came up with the determination of the increases.
Mr. McDonald.
I know not everybody's gonna be comfortable with the numbers, in the long run, but I want to make sure that everybody understands the numbers. So I agree with Frank at this time, and with John's motion that we should just go back and get a clarification, to make sure everybody's comfortable with what is being, discussed. I don't want, I don't wanna, while I support the contract, I just don't want anybody coming out of it afterwards saying, well, the numbers are incorrect, and having that out there. I'm comfortable with somebody, saying, and when it's all done, that I don't like the numbers, but they understand the numbers.
Right.
That I am comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because we will get that. But I
Right.
just don't want anybody saying that, no, these are the wrong numbers, and, you know, they're just trying to
Right.
put something in. I don't want to see that.
Right.
I want to make sure everybody, at least, is on the same page, whether you agree with the numbers or not, that you understand those are the numbers.
Yeah, there's two issues. One is, as you said, being comfortable with numbers. Two is knowing what those numbers are ahead of time, so you're not blindsided at the last minute.
Right. And I blindsided is a little different, but I think it's just the way the numbers were put together. I'm sure we'll get the correct, you know, we'll get the information that is needed to make
Right,
sure.
but if I hadn't calculated my own percentages, what we got handed to did not have percentages on it. That's not transparent.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We'll look at it again, Sean, and we'll meet in executive session. Maybe before one of our next meeting, if you want, or
Next one
Next
is-
meeting's not scheduled till the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
you want to do it, just have a special meeting and take a peek at it? Or wait?
Well, it would have to be, well, if we discuss it in the executive session, then the contract has to come up on the 13th.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you want to do it, you know, a week.
Not that I'm trying to rush it, I'm just
No,
saying
well, no,
that,
because you'd have to come back in open session to ratify the contract anyway.
right.
So, I mean, if you want to have an executive session before, the week before, or,
Well, in all fairness, if there's gonna be a major discussion about it, are we gonna accomplish that in the same night as a meeting, or should we meet beforehand?
well, that's
We'll
on,
have a separate meeting, maybe the week of April 6th,
Right,
right, so.
All right, I think we should just concentrate on that one item and understand what these numbers are. Will it affect the bottom line of all of this? I don't know that, but let's look at the numbers, and we want everybody to feel comfortable,
so.
or
we
not
are-
comfortable.
So if
the
we are
only thing
agreed,
is that, the only thing I request is that don't schedule for April 6th, if at all possible. I have kind of a business interview at 6 o'clock.
can we do it?
Well, the
like
board,
mid-
if in
midweek?
executive session, the board can meet any day,
Yeah.
so we'll,
Well, we'll pick out a time and a date, and that everyone can be there. I want everybody to be
No,
there.
nobody's gonna be doing anything Tuesday, the 7th.
Yeah, oh, we're not voting? All
so
right,
maybe we can do it the 7th, so.
Yeah.
7th would be good.
Yeah.
I'll send out
Yeah.
an email
And
asking if that works.
I wouldn't want to have it unless everybody can be there.
Well, can everybody, well, I mean, let's
Oh, you
just
wanna
ask,
decide now?
can everybody meet on the 7th?
Yes,
Yeah?
Yeah, as far as I know, I'd have to check my schedule, which is on a
Alright,
different computer.
Tentative,
so-
we're
Well,
gonna
the
do
only
it on
thing
the
is I
7th.
gotta make sure whatever schedule I send in, I do it last week of the month, so
Well,
that includes
Well,
the
let's
month,
decide
so-
quickly so we can,
Can
get it
we
on the,
meet-
get it on the
Can we
books.
meet early,
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock?
Yeah, sure.
Is that possible?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we ought to be
Okay.
out by 8 or 9.
No, we'll be out. Okay, police promotions. Chief Levesque? Good evening, sir.
Evening, sir, members of the board. The promotion that we had made regarding Lieutenant Tony Vincent to Deputy Chief, as you know, he was a lieutenant at the time. This created a vacancy in the rank of police lieutenant that up until this point, I had been unable to fill due to the lack of a promotional list. Civil Service recently certified promotional list for police lieutenant, and we've already have an active list for police sergeant. At this time, I'll be requesting the promotion of a sergeant and a lieutenant to fill both of these vacancies. Obviously, if we move to fill the vacancy in the lieutenant's position would come from the rank of sergeant, which then would create a vacancy in sergeant would be filled by a patrol officer. To begin the process, I wanted to provide you with a summary of the qualifications of the top candidate for each of these categories for your consideration. For lieutenant, the top candidate is Sergeant Victor Morency, He began his career as an intermittent officer in 2003, appointed full-time in 2007, promoted to sergeant in 2018. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from UMass Amherst. During his 11 years on patrol, he served as a field training officer, responsible for screening new officer candidates for hire, and then training these officers upon their completion from the academy. He also successfully completed the leadership development and training program developed by Bristol Community College. The candidate for police sergeant is currently a detective. His name is Keith DaCosta. He began his career with the department in 2006, and he's been assigned as a narcotics detective since 2010. Detective DaCosta completed extensive training related to the investigation of narcotics-related offenses. He was sworn in as a task force officer with the FBI and assigned to the Southeastern Massachusetts FBI Gang Task Force. During his time with the task force, he participated in investigations which resulted in the seizure of over 50 illegal firearms. He has also been sworn in as a task force officer with the DEA, where he participated in federal wiretap investigations which resulted in the seizure of large amounts of narcotics and U.S. currency suspected of being the proceeds of illegal drug trafficking operations. He has testified in both state and federal courts and has been recognized as an expert witness in Massachusetts in regards to the distribution of illegal narcotics. In closing, I have worked closely with both of these officers during the course of their careers and can say without hesitation that we are extremely fortunate to have such qualified candidates. I recommend that Sergeant Victor Morency be promoted to the position of Police Lieutenant and that Detective Keith DaCosta be promoted to the position of Police Sergeant. Thank you.
Pleasure of the board. Mr. Gracie?
Yeah, I'll ask my usual question. How does this impact your budget?
These are not new positions. I'm simply filling vacancies, so it would have no impact on the budget.
Mr. Tattlebaum?
You had 3 candidates listed for one and then one for the other. Is there a reason why there was only one for the lieutenant position listed on this sheet?
Sure. There is only one candidate. That's the civil service. It's based on the test and our assessment center results. In this case, it was one person that had passed the test.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. McDonald?
Well, if we promote Sergeant Morency to lieutenant, we'll probably have one of the tallest, intimidating command staff in southeastern Massachusetts. Between him, Jim Story,
Yeah.
and the chief, with all due respect to Deputy Chief Vincent, it's pretty ominous. So, with that, I would like to make the motion that the select board promote Sergeant Victor Morency to the position of lieutenant.
That's second.
We have a motion to promote Victor Morency to lieutenant, and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Congratulations, Lieutenant Morency.
And with that, I would like to make a motion that the select board promote Detective Keith DaCosta on the advice and the results of, on the advice of the chief and the results of the promotional certification, Keith DaCosta to sergeant.
Second.
We have a motion to promote Keith DaCosta to sergeant, and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Congratulations, Keith DaCosta.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I know we're in a different situation with limits on number of people in a room and that sort of thing, but is there any reason why we haven't seen these people in person to just get a look at them and maybe
Sure.
possibly ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, I mean, I apologize for that. With the current circumstances, speaking with the town administrator, we thought it was best to limit the amount of people tonight. They can certainly be brought in at some point in the future, just to meet. They would have both liked to have been here, and I would have liked to have them here, but in the interest of safety for everyone, we thought it was best to not have them here tonight.
I think under the circumstances.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, but in a future meeting, yeah, seeing in their
I understand
in their
this,
new
yeah.
gigs, I would like to see that.
I understand it, I just don't know either one of them. I would have liked to have seen what they look like and, you know.
No, I understand
Could have
that.
had pictures. Chief, another fine job. You always pick the best. You seem to have built yourself quite a command with fine people, and you are a great leader, and we are very lucky to have you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Good night. Stay safe. Which, by the way,
Get a
seems
letter
to be the new
from,
catchphrase.
Can we get a letter from the Lieutenant Governor?
Maybe we'll have a little coffee hour, bring it down to your house.
Can I read it?
Yeah.
I know it's in here
Yeah.
somewhere, but, so, Seaport Economic Council grant, we got a letter from the Seaport Economic Council, signed by Karen Polito. Congratulations on behalf of the Seaport Economic Council. I'm pleased to confirm the Town of Dartmouth award of $64,000 for the Arthur F. Dias Town Landing feasibility study. On February 25th, 2020, the Seaport Economic Council voted unanimously to approve and appropriations of $64,000 using capital funds authorized by the legislators and allocated by the governor to the council. The Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, as the lead state agency for the Seaport Economic Council, will administer the funding. Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor and Governor. So, lastly, on new business, we need to discuss possibility of announcing a postponement of the town elections that were scheduled for, or still are scheduled for, April 7th, 2020. Pleasure of the board.
Well,
Mr.
I
McDonald?
think a little background should be given on this
Yeah.
first, before anything
Of course.
happens. So,
Yeah?
you have the information from town council?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the town clerk. So, in light of the circumstances going on, so the town is able to postpone its election from any time up until June 30th. So the town can pick a date for the election. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the actual voting date. The ballot stays the same, the candidates stay the same. It's just up to the board to select a date. The board does not have to select a date tonight. I've asked the town clerk to come in at our next meeting to run over the options, because it has a lot to do with early voting and absentee ballots. There's a lot of different items that need to be addressed. But tonight, the board just needs to vote to postpone the election until a later date prior to June 30th.
I'll make that motion then.
I'll second.
We have a motion to postpone and a second with not a date as of yet for the election.
As a clarification, it means that essentially all we're doing is changing the date with no effect on the
None
process itself.
whatsoever. Everything remains, the ballot is the same.
Yes.
And I would think, considering it's hard to foresee what's happening, because everything changes, as we all know, so rapidly. I would think we should suggest to look forward to as later a date as we possibly can to make sure that the election goes on as scheduled. June 30th, somewhere in June, middle of June, we just need to think about it. But considering, again, what's going on, I'd like everybody to have an opportunity to feel comfortable going into our buildings and voting. And I think the latter the better. We'll talk about it. Thank you. So old bill,
We
Mr. Herron.
didn't vote.
We didn't vote. Well, we finished that issue first.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Postponing?
Aye.
Opposed,
Mr. Chairman,
none? Okay.
I just have a question on the Seaport Economic Council grant. Do we have to vote on it because there was a co-pay involved?
When we've been awarded the grant paperwork hasn't come in yet, and
Okay.
generally we vote to sign off on the grant paperwork.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Old business, Bliss Corner.
Bliss Corner, no new updates. New building construction. while the library is closed, they are still in there working on rectifying some of the issues, i.e. the floor. So they continue to replace the flooring in there. And that's it for the new building updates.
Cecil Smith.
Cecil Smith, no new updates. Lake Nokichoke, no new updates in the fishing pier. No new updates. We're still waiting for the finalized draft agreement from
Yeah,
the
but we
Division
do
of
have that
Fisheries.
agreement for the pier, right?
There were some questions back and forth, so we're waiting to get the final agreement.
The lawyers are involved,
Yes.
of course. Okay, approve the minutes of March 2nd, 2020, March 9th, 2020.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 2nd and March 9th.
Second.
We have a motion to approve March 2nd and March 9th of 2020. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? None. The minutes are accepted. Any other information before we adjourn?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just get, this is just a general message to everyone out there. It is very important that you follow, the suggestions by medical experts regarding this, during this, pandemic event that's currently going on. Because there's going to be people staying at home, the opportunity for social media is going to be prevalent out there. I just want to caution you on where to get your information on social media, because half of what you see is not true, and the other half is probably not plausible either. I urge people to visit the town's website for information regarding our community, but also to visit mass.gov for the state. As far as federal information goes, I'm not exactly sure where to go for the best information, probably FEMA or the CDC. Those are probably your two best bets. The only thing I can possibly say at this point in time is, we have to be civil. We have to think of each other. And for parents with children at home, I know there's a group of parents in town that have set up daily programs and daily challenges to do. Mary Waite, who is a candidate for an office for the school, has set up different challenges for different grade levels. Today's challenge was an obstacle course, asking kids how to do an obstacle course and then posting videos of the obstacle course. The other one was to create a tower or create some type of invention or dress up as a famous celebrity or historical, and it's been actually pretty cool. A lot of people are getting into it. The kids seem to enjoy it. And there's a lot of things going on. So the best thing to do is to pay attention to what the experts are saying, make sure that they're the right experts. And if you have a neighbor that's in need, give them a call or just kind of check up on them, see how they're doing, see if they need anything. And together, we'll get through this, that's for sure.
Was the obstacle course something like jump over the TV and climb up the refrigerator, or?
Yeah, or run away from the parents.
I think it would be proper to acknowledge the leadership that our town administrator has taken to put this COVID process in full motion, coupled with the fact that the professionals in our town, Christopher Michaud and the others, comprehensive. It's taken in so many local issues that we have to be addressed and take charge of. It's very impressive what we've done. The people out there as I said last meeting, an impressive group of professionals in our town who really have a handle on what we're doing, and I congratulate the leadership of Sean and the people who invested their time and effort to make this thing as informative and as real and factual as possible.
Anyone else? I thank you about, Mr. McDonald, expressing your concerns about people staying away from large crowds. More importantly, that 60-year-old and over, you really need to pay attention. No large crowds.
Is anybody in here under 60?
Just Greg. Oh, yeah, Sean.
Yeah, those two. So, with that,
Nobody elected.
we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Favor? Any opposed? None. Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.